Greetings, everybody. This is Richard Solomon. How are you? This show broadcast from 88.1 FM from Brookville, New York, from the Abrams Communication Center of WCWP. It's a continuation of a prior show. I had such a great time with Steve Rosenfield, who is the author of a great book called Fun and Dangerous, Untold Tales, and Unseen Photos and Unearthed Music from My Father's Place, 1975 to 1980, written by Steve Rosenfield with Michael Eppy Epstein, who will be on a future show. That we didn't really get a chance to talk about the music that was in this, the music CD that was part of the book. Mm-hmm. So we actually got our interns to drive all the way out and grab Steve and bring him all the way back to schlep him back here. And so we could have him back for another show on the music. We talked sort of about the music history and the musicians and sort of our personal journey through the music and a lot of Steve's personal connections to the music. And he's got some great stuff that we didn't really get a chance to stuff into an hour. So we're going to try to do that here on this segment of the show. And I think we're going to start with Ian Hunter's Cleveland Rocks. Now, you had a great story about this.
Oh, thanks for having me back, Rich.
You had a great story.
I had a great story. I hope it's great.
You had to schlep over to London and.
Well, the book comes with 9 tracks from 9 different artists of live music.
Should we tell everybody what's in there?
Sure. Yeah, let's the Unearthed music. This is the first legal release of live music from My Father's Place ever.
And being a lawyer, we like legal.
and as Rich as my lawyer, he likes it. Yeah, it is legal. Yeah. So we secured the rights. There were over 140 radio shows that were broadcast live from the stages of My Father's Place from 1971 to actually it's from 1973 to 1986. The Tuesday night WLIR radio concert, occasionally on Saturday nights, were really an institution here on Long Island and around the world. And those tapes from the soundtrack, these are not from the soundboard. These are not what was put out over the radio. This is, as I've learned, the music as it leaves the club goes to the truck that was outside that mixed the music, and before it was sent out on the airwaves. So wow. you lose some of the quality once it's done through the radio. But the most pristine music is actually from the truck. Anyway, we took a selection of music that kind of showed the diversity of acts that were playing at the club at the time. And so we've got people from Peter Tosh, Bush Doctor from 1978, which is kind of a personal favorite, Muddy Waters with Manish Boy, Ian Hunter with Cleveland Rocks from 1979, the Waitresses, David Bromberg, Good Rats, Hall & Oates. There's a whole host of a sample, I guess, of the excitement, and it's all got the intro from those radio jocks that would introduce, live from My Father's Place, this is, the David Bromberg Band. So we just felt that if we were going to create some kind of recognition of what was going on at the club, that actually hearing the music from the 70s at the club with all the passion and all the sound distortion and so on, and the fans, was really important. So anyway, that's what the CD contains. The book contains the CD that's music that hasn't been heard in 30 years, and the Ian Hunter story. Why don't we hear it, and then I'll tell you how I got it.
Tell me a little bit about the thing, because I'm still not a great engineer yet. So let's see.
It's one of those buttons. Let's see. Well, anyway, Ian Hunter is Mott the Hoople, 1979, live at My Father's Place.
We're playing it. Here we go.
Here it goes. Is it on?
You are listening to tcbradio.com.
Cleveland rocks, Cleveland
Cleveland Does Rock on WCWP.
Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks. Said Cleveland rocks.
So this, I know this is kind of in the middle of the song, but you got to give me a little bit of context of what this performance was and the whole scene, because it's really, really cool. Maybe we'll play this in the background.
Sure. In 1979, Mott the Hoople, Ian Hunter had gotten a lot of acclaim for doing David Bowie's song "All the Young Dudes."
All the young dudes.
Yeah, and Mott the Hoople was a huge phenomena in England, and here he was playing this little club in Roslyn, Long Island. If you fast forward 35 years, it turns out the best man at my wedding is a guitar player, a guy named Mark Bosch, and Mark Bosch is the lead guitar player for Ian Hunter today. So for the last 2 years...
Is that the guy with the hat?
The guy who looked like he was a rock and roll guitar player?
Yeah.
That's my buddy Mark.
Okay, that's... Okay.
Right, so for the last 2 years, Mark's been the lead guitar player for Ian Hunter, going around the country, around the world, actually, playing not only old Mott the Hoople stuff, all the way from Memphis, All the Young Dudes, Cleveland Rocks, and so on, but a lot of Ian's new stuff. And so I needed the rights, or I wanted the rights to put this song on the CD that's in Fun and Dangerous. So I flew out to Bristol, England for the end of their UK tour in September. In October. The book came out in November, and got to meet Ian through Mark. Hung around with him and his wife and the band for a couple of days, which was reliving the rock and roll dream for a guy from New York. A little bit
from Queens.
Yeah. This time I did not leave before the end of the show.
And you need to catch the prior show to catch that story, because it's worth listening to.
Right, yeah. So, but anyway, Ian was very, very generous. He remembered very fondly Eppy and my father's place, what a good host Eppy was, and how great the crowds were. So this Cleveland Rocks, which people may know from the WKRP Cincinnati.
No, Drew Carey.
Drew Carey show. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Drew Carey show. Was authorized in Bristol just last year, and is given as a present to recognize the importance that Eppy had in my father's place to the music scene in the 70s. So great song, mentions Eppy, and talks about Long Island. Going back to it.
Let's see if he says something here. I ran in the background when we were talking.
Again, the Ian Hunter Band, we want to thank you all for coming. Good night from my father's place in the village of Old Roslyn.
So there you go, live from my father's place. So it's kind of cool that radio could once again broadcast live from my father's place. Yes, thanks to digital recordings, the securing of rights, and knowing the right people.
Some small transatlantic flights. I was there. I joined the tour on a mission. My mission was to secure the rights, and the true story is, if I could just tell you,
sure, I love the true story.
Had to print the dust jacket for the book, which has the quote from Ian Hunter on the back, which you just heard Ian Hunter singing
Eppy's Cool.
Eppy's Cool from Cleveland Rocks. Well, before I'm ashamed to tell you this, but
Don't be ashamed.
some risk involved.
There's only like 400,000 people listening.
Well, just from a legal perspective, there's a mite bit of risk involved. I had to print the jacket. The printer printed the dust jacket for the book that had Ian's quote before I secured the rights that he would give us for the
Right. Well,
for the
it's one
CD.
thing to print it; it's another thing to release it. So you would just
I wasn't.
you had the crystal ball ready.
I was on the edge of what I could get away with, but I was really kind of nervous, making sure, like I had to see him, and it was the last day of the show. I'm sorry, last gig of the tour, so they were all off tour, and I had to ask him, if he'd give me the rights, and he was very, very generous, but I didn't let him know until right now that I had already printed the quote on the book jacket, assuming that he was going to be a reasonable guy, which he was.
Well, but if not, then you buy a bunch of stickers and you just
right,
and you put limited edition.
What I've learned from my first foray into book publishing, everything can be fixed for a price.
That's right. Now wait, this book is a rare book. Is that correct?
There are 1,000 copies, all hand-signed by Eppy and myself. They're all numbered. They were printed at the finest printer in England, the Butler Tanner Dennis, which is a century-old British printer. And it's a beautiful collector's item. We're going to do 1,000 and then stop because the people who really will appreciate this, I think, should have something that isn't overly commercial. And Eppy and I wanted to give some money back to charity, and he's out promoting new shows now on Long Island, and I've got my media consulting business. So we felt 1,000 copies. First time anybody's heard this CD, unless you were listening to your radio in 1977, you remember what it was like.
And you recorded onto a cassette.
And you put it onto a cassette. Well, I have those actually,
with all the crackles, and I still have cassettes. And what's amazing is they don't really hold up well over time.
They don't hold up. Yes, thankfully negatives hold up better than cassettes. Yes. But I'm not going to go back and listen to all the tapes that I mixed. Right here, by the way. At New York Institute of Technology, where I did a radio show when I was attending my second year in college. I had a radio show here. So,
what was the name of the show?
I was Steve Rosenfield's something. I don't know. It was I played songs to girlfriends I wanted to woo.
Wow! See, but what better way to do it?
I'm still doing it.
Now people have iPods. So it's like, hold on a second, and you just push play.
No, but there's another great book called. It's a really interesting book. It's called Mixtape, and it's a book about the culture of mixing cassette tapes.
I used to do that.
And there's a book on it, and look at it. It's just one of these books. It's a special book. It's in the format of a cassette, believe it or not.
Oh wow!
And a very interesting book because we all used to sit around and try to figure out what the segues were and what the mood was, and it's the same as it's similar to playlists, I guess.
Right? Yeah. Well, for my brother's bachelor party, we made a CD. And we made a CD of all this particular music that supposedly it was like a concept album of other songs, and it started with the song from Brother Where Art You, where the prisoners were breaking rocks, just to There Goes the Neighborhood by Sheryl Crow and a bunch of other really interesting.
Right. You're sending a message with the CD in the book. The music that we put on in the book. It was interesting for me to be able to mix a CD.
Yes.
And Eppy was responsible for producing it and getting it mastered, which was incredibly valuable process, but we sat around and talked about which songs to pick. So in some way, it was going back, 30-something years later, and trying to figure out which Hall & Oates song, which Muddy Waters song, and so it was kind of fun.
I was lucky enough to see Muddy Waters play with Eric Clapton at the Garden, but we need to play more music. So you are listening to Richard Solomon, Taking Care of Business, and today we're doing a whole music thing. We're playing music from my father's place. So the next song, I believe this is track 1, and let me just cue this up here.
Gentleman who records
to me with this one.
Rolling Stone Atlantic
This is
Records.
1978,
Current album is
live
Bush
from my father's place, Peter Tosh, with the song Bush Doctor.
WLIR FM, would you please
Here we are
give
from
a warm
WLIR.
welcome
There you go.
to Peter Tosh.
Peter Tosh, here you go.
The Saratown Gentleman Wars. Cigarette that smoking is dangerous, cancerous, a hazard to your health. Does that mean anything to you or any of you? We are gonna legalize marijuana, yeah. Down there in sweet Jamaica. Only cure for glaucoma. I'm another minister, yeah. And there will be no more smoking and the feeling chance. And when I see them I come, I don't have to jump the fence. Legalize the marijuana, yeah. I say right here in New York, y'all. Only cure for asthma. I'm not the butch doctor. And there will be no more police brutality. No more disrespect for humanity. Legalize the marijuana, I said down there in a sweet Jamaica. It can build up your failing economy. Wipe out the slavish mentality. And there will be no more illegal humiliation. And no more police interrogation.
All right, so let me put that down a little bit so we could listen to it in the background as we talk. So we're listening to, this is Richard Solomon, by the way, on Taking Care of Business, WCWP 88.1 FM, mywcwp.org. You can catch us at tcbradio.com or a lot of other places, but we're listening to some Unearthed music live from my father's place, which was actually rebroadcast many, many years ago on a local station known as WLIR FM, which was at the time 92.7. It became, I think, WDRE, and then it became something else, and sadly the format's gone and lost. But I had a friend, Janet, if she's listening, Janet Salambini, and she loved LIR. She just totally loved them, and you know what? They were great. They really served an incredible purpose. But speaking of this Peter Tosh Bush Doctor song from '78 and reggae music, Steve, you had this is Steve Rosenfield, the author of the book about My Father's Place, myfathersplace.com, Amazon.com to get the book with the incredible CD of very, very rare music.
Yeah, I thought the listeners would be interested in how reggae got to Roslyn. It was really probably was the principal birthplace of reggae in the United States, and Eppy was a very influential factor, bringing reggae bands up from Jamaica, and then putting them on tour throughout the country with his partner. And in the book that we wrote called Fun and Dangerous, Fred Blue Fox, which is the name of AKA Fred Greenberg. He was a stage manager in the 70s for My Father's Place, and he writes a wonderful piece about his remembrances about all the reggae bands that came through there, going down to Jamaica, trying to perfect the sound, trying to get the bands on stage at anything like a reasonable time, because they were on a different
time.
They were on a different time. So whether it was Burning Spear, Mighty Diamonds, the Heptones, Toots and the Maytals, Big Youth, I mean, there were dozens and dozens of what became the premier bands for reggae music in the world. All played My Father's Place, and the crowds were dance parties, interracial, black, white, Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island. Everybody came together because the music was so powerful. And Bush Doctor is a personal favorite of mine, from my chauffeuring days with Peter Tosh, but also from actually being in the club when he played it.
So now, by the way, just in case you're catching only this segment of the show, Steve was not actually a chauffeur. What it was, he had a great story where he gave these guys a ride.
I'm also a chauffeur.
Well, now you're a chauffeur, but it's different. So maybe we'll catch, this is like the last 20 seconds, so let's just... Wow, that is great live music. I'll tell you, that is just really, really cool. So let's see, what else should we listen to? Should we listen to Muddy Waters? What do you like?
I'm a big fan of Eddie Mahoney.
All right, let's see Eddie Mahoney. Let's see if we can get that over. Why don't you talk while I play with this thing here?
Eddie Mahoney is better known as Eddie Money, and Belrose, Queens. Son of a police officer, I believe. Police fire family, still rocking after all these years. We saw him at the Long Island Music Hall of Fame.
I saw him on the photo line.
Still looks good. He played for the crowds at the gala for the Long Island Music Hall of Fame. But this is 1978, I think it is.
77.
1977, and it's I think it's his signature song. If I could be so bold.
Want to be a rock and roll star? So here we are, taking care of business here, WCWP.
Young and singing along, crazy songs I heard on the radio. Rock and roll melodies drove me frantically. Soon I would be tapping on the table. Mama jump and shout, she see what's that noise about? Probably to the top and to the station. But I knew right then I'd sneak that door back again. Knew right then I'd try to make it. Yes, I did, I said. Saying when music will call me your way, you know I always waited. Soon I'll be shaking my hips, doing the Elvis switch, dream about the day I would make it. Hey, hey. Wanna be a rocker, wanna be a rocker, wanna be a rockin' star. I wanna be a rocker, wanna be a rocker, wanna be a rockin' star. Rock and roll star. I wanna drive a big black car. I wanna be keeping that rock and roll. Go, 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 yeah. Says I'm lazy, my girlfriend thinks I'm crazy. Wanna be a rock and roll star. I wanna mansion on the hills, wanna burn $1,000 bills. Wanna be a rock and roll star. Every night before I go to sleep, you know I pray to God now. Oh God, dear God, me and the boys so many years, I'll tell you right now I wanna play. Gotta swing on, it's like you're gonna die. Wanna be a rocker, wanna be a rocker, wanna be a rocker star. Wanna be a rocker, wanna be a rocker, wanna be a rocker star. Wanna be a rocker, wanna be a rocker, wanna be a rocker star. Sweet rock and roll.
Wow. And now talk about wild history there. All right, this is Richard Solomon, WCWP, taking care of business. What else should we listen to from this CD that's really, really cool? We'll listen to Muddy Waters.
We can do Muddy. We can do the Waitresses, if you like some 80s girl band rock and roll.
I think we're right.
Hall & Oates is on there.
Let's take a look at...
We got let's see, a little bit of everything.
WLIR.
Yeah, they say WLIR, but you're listening to WCWP.
Yes.
So the Muddy Waters Blues Band. Let's listen to this. This is... Oh, you can hear this. This is real blues. They don't make blues like this anymore. This is Richard Solomon. You are listening in progress to a great Muddy Waters tune from My Father's Place that was broadcast in 1977. The song is called Manish Boy. Yeah. And I have to give you a quick station ID. You are listening to 88.1 FM, WCWP.
Thank you very much.
So that's live music, live from my father's place. I'll tell you, you can't be there today, but if we could bring you back, we're going to do our best. All right, this is Richard Solomon, tcbradio.com. If you have got some photos of my father's place, I'd love to see them. I would really appreciate if you could send an email to tcbradio, WCWP, at yahoo.com. And we'll share that with the community out there. We'll get to the author, Steve Rosenfield. We'll share it with Mike Eppy Epstein. And it'd be a great way to honor the tradition. I see a picture of Billy Joel, William Martin Joel, who sold out the Garden for a whole number of nights and made a CD about that.
He's got a banner hanging on Long Island.
That's right.
On my father's place.
He probably does.
A few more seats in the garden. Yeah, but I just pointed it out because Billy was introduced. It's kind of a funny story. It's in the book about how there was going to be a Charlie Daniels live. Charlie Daniels is a country western rock and roll star, and still is actually.
And does Geico commercials.
He's the guy on the Geico commercials. He looks exactly the same as he did in the 70s and 80s, by the way.
Except for the white hair.
You know what? Let me look in the book. He might have had white hair. But anyway, he was going to do a live radio show and from my father's place, and came down with laryngitis and couldn't go on. And Eppy pulled in Billy Joel and said, "We need a stand-in. Can you play?" This is right at the time when Billy Joel's first album was out, called
Cold Spring Harbor. Wow.
Right? So it was before Piano Man, and the way the story goes, Eppy told WLIR, "I got a Piano Man for you," and some versions of that have stuck since then. And but Billy was it was his first live radio show. Broadcast on WLIR. It was because Charlie Daniels got laryngitis the night before, and they needed a quick fill-in. And Michael Irwin Epstein, Eppy, from my father's place, suggested Billy.
Wow.
And, so
it shows you that timing is everything.
It's timing and to putting yourself out there and putting yourself around people. You may not know what's going on, but somebody in the room may. And the stories are just legion of what was going on downstairs, upstairs, outside, at Eppy's house, in the hot tub, out the backside. There were so many mini dramas and mini stories going on with so many different people, all good people who were doing it for the love of music. And I know I was, and they're still. It's nice to share those kind of stories with people who may not have been there, but have had in their own way the same kind of passion for music.
Wow. Well, I got to give a shout out to some people that we know that are very passionate about music, which is Jack and Roger Lerner.
Jack and Roger, Music Building, yes.
Yes, so there you go. So a little shout out to those people.
Right. Well, the Music Building, can I just say what the Music Building is? This is, there's a local music paper called Good Times here on Long Island. It's in its 42nd year. And I was an ad sales, after I couldn't make any money selling photographs, back then, I started a career selling advertising space at Good Times. And one of my first clients was this guy named Jack Lerner, who had a building in Manhattan called the Music Building. And what it was, and what it still is today, 35 years later, is a rehearsal studio for musicians. And you basically rent it by the month. And he was I sold him an ad, and I said, well, that sounds like a really good idea. And we've been friends, as you and I have been friends with Jack for 30 years, and again, passionate about the music, and so is his son.
Not only that, but I had the great honor of knowing Mike Lerner. Mm-hmm. And Mike, obviously, is Roger's grandfather and Jack's father. And I'll tell you one great Mike Lerner story. Mike told me, I loved Mike, and we used to go for Chinese food or Indian food in the city. It was great. And we go to the Mogul Room, or we go to some place on like 32nd Street. And I remember Mike was telling me that in World War II, he was like in the infantry. And he liked to smoke cigarettes. But apparently it was dangerous to do at night because you would draw a fire. Mm-hmm. So in order to segregate him from the rest of the troops, because he smoked so much, he would have his own foxhole. And I said to him, it was more important to smoke than get shot at. And he says, "You got it, son."
Man with priorities.
and look, he survived the war and the whole bit. So there you go. So that's a great Mike Lerner story, and he will always be of blessed memory, and whatever. And but I remember he was talking about sort of the whole origin of the music building. That I think the idea was that there was a trombone player or something and needed rehearsal space, and he couldn't get a place to rehearse because people didn't want noisy neighbors. Mm-hmm. And then the concept came, well, maybe we just get all these guys who are noisy and put them all in the same place.
All in the same building.
Sort of, maybe it'll work. It's like well, we all put all these accountants and lawyers together. So.
And the music building now has 65 rehearsal studios in one building. It's, the musicians, famous musicians are there as well as struggling artists. Well, I don't know if you're famous, I think you're still struggling, by the way. But it's a proven commercial concept now, and there's a revitalization in its value to the music industry. As again, more people need not only a place to play that they can leave their equipment, but also to interact with other musicians and learn from and
surface area.
Just the suck in all the different kind of musical influences that 60 rehearsal studios stacked on top of each other would do.
You could have a million Facebook friends, but that's not like being with 50
Hearing
bands.
The music, and making the music side by side with other musicians. Yeah. So we, you and I are both, I wouldn't say, I don't know if I'm a frustrated musician. I'm just an admirer
me too.
And humbled by people who can actually make music. I'm not one of those people, but I appreciate it.
Oh, me too. So let's go back to the CD here, because we're definitely featuring some music here. How about the Good Rats? Let's see. Want to do the Good Rats? I love the Good Rats.
This is Detroit. The song Detroit from the Good.
Not Detroit Rock City. That's somebody else. Okay, hold on.
We have a full house at my father's place.
Let's see who's this is.
In our series of free live radio.
Yeah, this is the LIR introduction.
Records for the Arista Passport label. From Rats to Riches is the
this is Rats to Riches. There you go. The album.
It's our privilege tonight to have here at WLIR
Well,
FM Long Island.
WLIR at that time. It's WCWP now.
There's a thing that
You are listening to the Good Rats performing live in 1979. So a live broadcast from 1979 that was broadcast on WLIR back in the day. And I have Steve Rosenfield with me. Let me just do a quick station ID. You are listening to Taking Care of Business, tcbradio.com, mywcwp.org, 88.1 FM, broadcasting from the Abrams Communications Center of the CW Post campus here. And you may be catching this show at myfathersplace.com for all, because this is going to probably be archived there. Mm-hmm. You may be catching this somewhere on Facebook, because we're going to probably get this on Facebook, because it's just it's such important content as from a historical and fun perspective that this is exactly what Facebook really is all about, to sort of get the word out on something like that. And with Steve Rosenfield, who I really know for a long time. He's a great guy. He's a great friend. We have a lot of mutual interests. I can tell you one thing, what I've learned about this show is that both of us love music. We just we just love music, and we kind of grew up at the same time, had a lot of the same influences, and probably even went to some of the same concerts.
We may have, right?
Yes. So I just didn't know him at the time. He was a tall guy, and I was a little short guy.
I was probably the guy in the front trying to get a picture of the band.
And I remember going to see Meatloaf at St. John's, and I remember recording on a cassette. It was a Scotch brand cassette. It was like one of those better quality. It was like Memorex and Scotch had the better quality. And I remember somebody broadcast Meatloaf live from somewhere in '78, and I remember recording that, and it could have been NEW, but I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. And I remember that Meatloaf was famous for giving such a performance that he would pass out, and they would have to take him out by ambulance with oxygen. And I remember at the very end of the tape, because I listened to it not that long ago, where the people who were the MCs were saying, "Oh, that's it. No, he's got oxygen. He's gone. There's no encore. It's like Elvis is leaving the building."
You know why I think you mentioned Scotch, or you remember Scotch tape? Because Scotch brand, because they were the first ones to have the extended play of 180 minutes and 240 minutes. They were the very first, and it may have been connected to the fact that Meatloaf was playing so long, a standard cassette wouldn't hold it. So you had to go out and find the only people, which was Scotch. The only Scotch brand was the only cassette media that would have allow you to have the whole concert.
Okay, for those who are listening, I do own an 8-track tape collection. I do have vinyl records.
And for those of you who are listening, I apologize for the digression.
No, we love digression. This show is all about digression. So in case you're catching us sort of either in the middle or at the beginning of this segment, Steve Rosenfield is the principal author, along with Michael Eppy Epstein, of a book called Fun and Dangerous, Untold Tales, Unseen Photos, and Unearthed Music from My Father's Place, 1975 to 1980. The official website for My Father's Place, of course, is myfathersplace.com. And for those who may not know, My Father's Place was sort of just a tremendous incubator for brand new bands who were not cover bands. And I think that was a very important story that you may have either told in the other show or in pre-production. According to the website, there were 6,000 shows.
Yeah.
And but no cover bands. That's kind of an amazing concept.
Right. There was such a profusion of music and talent, not only locally but around the country, that you could put on 5 to 6 nights a week live original music at the club. So the club was open from 1971 to 1987. 16 years, a minimum of 5 nights, usually 7 nights, 2 shows a night, and the diversity. So from Jean-Luc Ponty to Maria Moldauer to Black
Klein.
Flag to all the comedians, the Eddie Murphys, Billy Crystal, Robert Klein, George Carlin. Gary Dell'Abate of Howard Stern,
Baba Booey.
You bet. I mean, all these guys, talented people would come and play. In part because there always had to be comedians. I found out later often were invited because they were in the neighborhood and they would play for a little amount of money. So they don't, it's a quick change. Obviously you just need most of the comedians were just a microphone and a chair and a bottle of Tuborg. So
and maybe a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah, well, that might cost extra money. Eppy tells a story how right here at the Tillis Center, not that long ago, Jay Leno played, and from the Jay Leno show and stuff. And he had somebody introduced Eppy backstage to Jay Leno, and Jay goes, and this was probably only 4 or 5. I don't know the exact date, but it's several years ago. And Jay goes, "I remember you, Eppy. You paid me $50. No, you said you were going to pay me $50 for my show, and you never paid me."
Well, did he give him 50 on the spot?
No. There you go. So, really a birthplace for incredible talent, and including, as people, a lot of people spend a lot of time on this, Bruce Springsteen, who had his first live radio show with the E Street Band in 1973, broadcast from my father's place. And Bruce played the club, I think, a half a dozen, 10 times over the years. But he would, come down from Asbury Park and light up the room. So it was a launching pad for aspiring artists from not only Long Island, but New Jersey, New York, the rest of the country, and like with reggae and Ian Hunter from England, reggae from Jamaica, and bands from the UK as well.
Now, when Bruce played way back when, did he have the E Street Band with him, or was he a
Yes.
solo artist? Wow.
Yes. Wow. So it was 1973. He played 5 nights in a row twice.
Wow.
So, and the story, the true story is, as all these stories are true or apocryphal.
We're not under oath.
Was he actually, the first time he played the club, Eppy was asked to do a favor for a nephew of somebody, and they said we're trying to book a band. We're trying to book this guy. Who is he? He's a guy named Bruce Springsteen. What do we know about him? I don't know. He plays guitar, and that's all Eppy knew. So he booked him as a favor, which is the way it probably is still done in small clubs around the country. He booked him as an opening for the Paul Winter Consort.
Wow.
And for people who don't know what the Paul Winter Consort is, it's and no disrespect to Paul, but it's kind of like wind chimes and chanting. And so the very first time Bruce played, he was the opening act for a very, very opposite type of music. And so obviously the band, the fans are coming to see the Paul Winter Consort, and a rock and roll band from Asbury Park, New Jersey takes the stage. It was a giant mess.
A leap.
Well, yeah, and never again did Paul Winter play at my father's place. And and Paul and Eppy laugh about it, but he never would go back.
Wow.
It's the last time he ever played it. But great shows from Bruce, and I have nice shots of Nils Lofgren from back in that day when Nils used to play before he was with Crazy Horse and Neil Young at the club as well.
Wow. So I want to cue up this. This is the Waitresses. Why don't you tell me about Wasn't Tomorrow Wonderful?
That was the best track from the live show, 1979 again?
1979.
1979?
Yes.
Hey, that's pretty good. I'm not looking at it.
No, 1979, I was at the State University of New York at Binghamton.
And if I remember correctly, it's A&M Records from 79, all-girl group, rock and roll, just a good time party, and I think it comes across in this track.
So here's the introduction. Here we go. The Waitresses, yes. And again, you're listening to this not on WLIR, which at the time it was. You're listening to this now on WCWP.
My style, dealing with my nervousness and forcing a smile.
You're rocking with Rich Solomon, yeah. WCWP 88.1 FM. I've always wanted to be a rock and roll DJ. I used to listen to Scott Muni and Dennis Elsis and Allison Steele the Nightbird and, Carol Miller, still do, Cousin Brucey. In fact, I was lucky enough to interview Cousin Brucey at a Book Expo America in 2010. And he gave me, I think, 15 wonderful minutes about music of the 60s and 70s. I'm always, thank you, Cousin Brucey. I appreciate all that you've shared with me and the whole bit. So here we are with Steve Rosenfield, and to say that this was like a time machine, literally in two different ways. One, because we stepped back in time, but from a forward physics point of view, this was like the fastest 2 hours of radio I've done in a long, long time.
My pleasure.
Pardon me.
Hey, speaking of going forward,
Yeah.
Rye Art Center, which is Westchester's premier art organization, the Rye Art Center in May is putting on a 3-week exhibit of music and photos from the 70s. It's called Off the Record: New York Music After Woodstock.
Wow.
A lot of the photographs in Fun and Dangerous are going to be there, as well as a host of other New York photographers, Pete Fornatel, Dennis Elsis.
Legendary names, yeah.
As you mentioned, you reminded me, right? Eppy, and we'll have some performers there for the opening night. It's going to be a really interesting, we think it's going to be a really interesting exhibition that'll tell the story of all the different types of music that were prevalent in New York in the 70s. And when you think about it, from reggae to country rock to disco to hard rock to reggae, and everything, and comedians, everything in between. It really was an incredible time in a time capsule in New York. And anyway, so there'll be a photographic and a musical exhibition at the Rye Art Center in May.
That's May 2011, because you may be listening to this in the future, in which case you missed it and we're sorry.
Right. I can't help you get back to it if you listen to it after May.
We'll have to do a radio show from there and then post it somewhere so that they won't miss out.
May 13th.
There you go. May 13th, 2011. And let me just give you a quick summary of what we've done in the last show here today and the show before. I'm Richard Solomon. I've had the incredible honor to be with both a friend and a colleague and a fellow lover of music, and someone who I just have the utmost respect for. And he's a fellow author, because we're both authors too. He wrote a book, and his book is much cooler than mine. His book is called Fun and Dangerous, Untold Tales.
Pictures, I'll give you that. I don't know if it's cooler.
I have no picture. I think I have a picture of a gavel.
I went with the pictures. You went with the words.
Fun and Dangerous, Untold Tales, Unseen Photos, and Unearthed Music from My Father's Place, 1975 to 1980. Stephen Rosenfield with Michael Eppy Epstein. And this book is just one of those books that when you have in your home will ignite a discussion about some of the greatest music that we've had listened to, certainly in the 20th century. And although I saw a lot of these artists at different times in my life, I did not have a chance to see them when they were first raw and real and, so close to home. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up. MyFathersPlace.com. You can get the book on Amazon. You heard some great tunes that we broadcast today. You'll catch the rest of the CD in the book. We'll see you in a week. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.